Good morning, YouTubers. T-Square here with T-Square Talk. Hope everybody's having a great day. I got a great video planned out for you guys. Really some important stuff to talk about. And it is a little more along the preparing side of things. So maybe you might call it prepping. Maybe you might call it a little bit of overall important information. There's a lot of stuff going on. I recently got an email from a friend and who wished to remain anonymous, but anybody that emails me knows I do share certain parts of what's emailed to me, and this email was very intensely written in a positive way. A lot of good info in here, and so I kind of wanted to share some of it, especially the preparing side of it, because it is amazing how much he thought of. And some of this we think of, and some of it we don't think of. A lot of us just think food, water, security, and precious metals. And I'll be honest, that is pretty much what I focus the bulk of my attention on. However, after reading this, I was like, man, I might have to look up some of that. So we're going to talk a little bit about that and then kind of refer you to some videos that we've done. I might even try to put a couple of the links below, so if you decide, hey, I want to try that out, you can check out my videos on that. And pretty easy. It's really easy to follow some of it, like how to do 5-gallon buckets with Mylar bags. Really easy. I even got a few tips that he didn't mention that I'm going to put in there, and I think it's important that we talk about that. Now, if you enjoyed today's video, please take a quick minute, hit that thumbs up button for me. Leave me a comment. Let me know your thoughts. If you have a great idea, go ahead and put that in there. I know some people have given me ideas for videos recently. I haven't necessarily been able to fulfill some of those videos lately because I am dealing with some medical issues right now. Some of y'all know, some of y'all don't know. I don't go too much into medical, too personal. It's a little serious. I'm just kind of trying to deal with it a little at a time, and I get extremely frustrated when it comes to doctors. I'm not a big fan. So with that being said, also, if you would like to become a member, we are doing our membership event this month. We do them every month, and this month we're giving away this 1987 San Francisco MS69 Silver Eagle. If you type in that number on the NGC app, you will get the information about that coin. It is a $250 coin, but you have a chance at winning it right now in this month's members only event for only $1.99. To become a member, it's $1.99, and it's a free event. So it's going to be a lot of fun, and spots are filling up fairly quick. I think we got 11, 12 spots left, something like that. And even if we don't get all the spots filled for the board, we're still going to run it. So, but either way, we're going to run it. So no harm there. With that being said, let's jump right in. Okay, so this email, it started out with some good information. I'm going to kind of read a little bit, some stuff. I guess I'll give you a little bit of a backstory on this email. So this gentleman reached out to me and kind of wanted to hear my thoughts on some different stuff. We started talking back and forth. He is religious. I'm religious. And you know, some people, they want to remain anonymous because obviously there are people out there that are kind of hard. I'll be honest, I take a lot of hard comments here on YouTube. A lot of negative stuff. Oh, well, he said we might see a pullback. We never saw that pullback. He was wrong. And some people want to poke and poke and poke. And that's why a lot of YouTubers are afraid to go out on any kind of a limb and tell you exactly what they're thinking. What they're telling you, most of the time, I'll say, is the obvious. Gold and silver are going to go higher. Well, that's a no-brainer. I mean, of course, gold and silver is going to go higher. But a lot of times people are a little afraid to put themselves out there because there are a lot of people out there that are just negative. They're just negative. They're just looking to tear down people. And me, I kind of get a kick out of it. I really do. Does it get under my skin once in a while? It's a little rare, but it has. It usually happens when I've had a really rough day, and then I come home and I read them emails. But those days are pretty few and far. So So moving on, that's why he wanted to remain anonymous. However, he did say a couple things that really stuck with me about how it's important that right now more than ever that we prepare. It doesn't even necessarily have to be a huge event. It can just be something small, whether it be a hurricane, a bad winter storm, a flood, whatever. And being prepared is really important. He did go on to mention that, obviously your top priority should be your soul. So make sure you have a one-on-one relationship with God. Let's see here. I'm kind of looking at it, and I'm kind of just touching up because I don't want to give too much of the email. And I agree. I think that's important. I have some people leave me comments when I do prepping videos where they're like, "You need to put your trust in God and not try to prepare." There was references in the Bible even where people did prepare and prep. And I think it's important. The home of the wise has oils and spices. And it doesn't have to be oils and spices. It can be food, water, precious metals, that type of stuff. So moving in on the real meat of the email. Okay, now with that all settled, here are a few things I believe you should be doing to prepare. And I went through this and I'm like, wow, he really did do a good job. So the first one, collect as many gallons of water as you can. You can use water from the faucet even. Boiling water before you use it would be wise. You can Google how to safely store water. So there's a lot of videos out there. There's a lot of information out there on how to preserve water. When you read about water preservation, it's funny that people will make it sound like water expires in 6 months. Water, in my opinion, does not expire. I would be perfectly comfortable drinking water that has been sitting for a year and a half, 2 years. Now, with that being said, I try to rotate out all my stuff. Having extra water on hand is important. You could have some kind of a hurricane or any kind of event, and if you don't have water, you're going to have a tough time. Water for you, water for your pets, water for cooking, water for possibly bathing, water for flushing the toilet, water for a lot of different things, even your plants. If you start a garden, all these things all are focused around water. Some people might make it sound like, oh, some of that is not as important. Maybe they might say bathing's not important. Who knows how people will look at it? Obviously, I understand drinking water needs to be a high priority. You're not going to go too long without drinking water. Now, with that being said, there are other things, though, that you can do besides just buy gallons of water. Maybe you could set up some sort of water collection. You might even already have gutters around your house. Just redirect those gutters to go to 55-gallon drums. Whether you put those 55-gallon drums above ground or underground, there's a lot of different ways you can play it out, and there's a lot of great ideas out there. I know the next house, I want to set up a huge water collection tank and just go all out. I've used rainwater for flushing. I've used it for washing my vehicle. I've even used it for gardening. Why? Because it saves me during droughts. And certain times of the year, we're not allowed to, here in Texas, be wasting water on washing your vehicle and that type of stuff. So using rainwater kind of gives you a big edge, in my opinion. And if things did break down, water at your location, some kind of water that can refill itself when you get rain, that type of stuff, is a huge factor. Maybe you have snow at certain times of the year. Have an idea on how you can boil some of that snow and turn it into water. So moving on, fill up your propane cylinders. This was the one that I hadn't thought of as I read into this. So I do fill up my propane cylinders. I'm big on just going to the grocery store, swapping out my propane cylinders. However, after reading this, I'm going to look into this. Do not trade them in at your stores for those 20-pounders. And max pressure of 65 pounds. Take them into a propane dealer, have them fill them. It will not only be cheaper, but they will be full. So I actually have gotten propane tanks before that were not full. Now, here's the thing. If you pick up a older, rusted propane tank on the side of the road that someone's throwing away, it doesn't look pretty, it's got rust on it, you know what? I've taken them to the grocery stores. I've taken them to Walmarts. I've taken them to different businesses that will just swap out the tank. And I like the nice new tanks. And once I get a nice new tank, I don't trade it in for an old beat up tank. I only want nice new tanks. Now, I will be looking into seeing about a propane dealer and having them all filled up. Because like I said, I usually just swap them out. Moving on to the next one. Candies. I'm sorry, my bad. Let me start over. I looked at that real quick. Candles, batteries, first aid, rubbing alcohol, peroxide, bleach, and have some extras for barter and trade. Barter and trade is really important. It's not just gold and silver that you're going to want for barter and trade. I get a lot of comments that from people that will say, no one in their right mind is going to trade you something of use and value for something like silver or gold. Now, they're not seeing the big picture. Silver and gold will always have value. Yes, during a apocalyptic scenario, then yeah, there might be a window there that you can't use gold and silver. But it doesn't mean people won't want it. Doesn't mean people won't pick it up when they're out scavenging. Why? Because it has value, and it will have value when the system gets back up and running. However, having extra items like the following that I just said, then it's important. So the next one, have real honey. Lots of honey. A person can survive on honey alone and have smaller bottles to use for trade and barter. So honey is awesome. They've actually found honey in the pyramids and it was still edible. So honey does keep forever. It may, I don't want to say coagulate. I don't know what the proper word is for it. It may firm up a little bit and crystallize. I think that's the proper word that they use with it. It may crystallize up. However, it doesn't take much. Put it in warm water, put it out in the sun. There's a lot of things you can do, and it will go back to liquid form. Honey is great. It does a lot. It's been around forever, and so that's why it's an important item. If you have beehives, then you are golden because that's important. And having, operational beehives, can you imagine having beehives and all of a sudden the grid goes down or some major event happens? Those beehives are going to keep producing forever. So, okay, have some rice, noodles, beans, canned goods. When it comes to the dry stuff, store them in Mylar bags in 5-gallon food-grade buckets from Walmart. Now, here's my thoughts on that. If you have any kind of a burger place, say Whataburger, say Subway, all these places, these fast food places that use pickles, anybody that uses pickles has 5-gallon food-grade buckets. Their pickles come in them. And once they use them up, they don't save them most of the time. I've had multiple businesses save them for me in the past, and I got them for free. Some places they might charge $1 for them or something, but I can almost guarantee you they're going to be cheaper if you can get them from one of those places than Walmart. The downside, they may have stickers. You may have to clean them out, that type of stuff. Next one, flour, cornmeal, powdered milk, pack some in smaller containers for barter. So I like having all these. I actually put mine in food saver bags. I throw an oxygen absorber in there. Some people will say, don't use a food saver on flour. It can mess up your machine. It can definitely dirty your hose, but is it anything like ruining it? In my opinion, no, but I understand where they're coming from because I have done it and I've gotten a little bit of flour, and over time that flour will come out anyway, in my opinion. So I don't really stress about it. Everclear and or vodka, whiskey for use as medicine as well as sanitation. Stock some of the smaller bottles separately for barter and trade. So barter and trade, there's going to be alcoholics, even in any kind of a major grid down scenario. Having alcohol has a lot of purposes. Your 100 proof alcohol is great for burning. They've used it to make hand sanitizer. Therefore, it can be a disinfectant. A lot of people use it as disinfectants on cuts and scrapes. Some people, if it's extreme excruciating pain, they will numb the pain before surgery even with alcohol. This is something that people have done for years and years, and you've seen it probably even in movies, and you may or may not have realized it. So the next one is old t-shirts. Do not throw away old shirts. Don't be wasting them, tossing them out, or even really donating them. You can cut them up into rags and cloths for when you don't have any kind of paper products. If you don't have toilet paper, I hate to say it, it may sound disgusting to some people out there, but an old t-shirt or an old part of a t-shirt to use as toilet paper, to use for really whatever you may or may not need, it comes in handy, and then you can throw it away, or you can wash it, soak it. You know, this idea of toilet paper has not been around forever. There was a time where they actually used rags and they were washed. So that's something to note. Next thing is coffee, cocoa. At first, well, I better not even say what I read at first, the first time I looked at it. Coffee, cocoa, sugar, seasoning, salt, packed in smaller bags, and you can use this as barter. So salt is huge. You know, salt has been around forever. They use it to preserve meat. They use it for flavoring. They use it for seasoning. You actually need a certain amount of salt. Your body uses it. So it's important that you do have a certain amount of salt. What kind of salt? You know, some people will say don't use iodine salt. I have iodine salt on hand. I also have the big 25-pound bags from Sam's Club, but I also have pink Himalayan salt. You know, that keeps almost indefinitely. And really, worst case scenario, in my opinion, on some of this stuff like sugar, salt, that type of stuff, it hardens. I mean, even if you've got a 25-pound block of salt that's hard as a rock, you can chisel away what you need, put it in a molcajete, grind it up, or if you don't know what a molcajete is, you can just put it in well, another word for molcajete would be like a mortar and pesto. Maybe some people know what that is. You just got to grind that down a little bit, and it is usable, so it is important. Next one, save individual packets of condiments. Don't be quick to throw that stuff away. A lot of times, some of these younger people that work at fast food restaurants, they'll throw in like taco sauce at Taco Bell. They are infamous for it. When I stop in the afternoon sometimes, I'll grab a quick $1.30 taco, and they'll throw a handful in there. When I say, yeah, some mild taco sauce, they'll throw a big old handful in there. Well, what do you do with it? A lot of times people will just eat that one taco, crumple the bag up, and throw it away with the rest of it. Put that up. But here's the thing, especially stuff like mayonnaise, ketchup, mustard. Mayonnaise is huge because mayonnaise has to be refrigerated. But if it's in them little condiment packages, you won't need the refrigeration. Next one is soap, laundry detergent, shampoo. Having extra soaps on hand actually comes in useful, especially if you have a way to get hot water and you can take baths, showers, that type of stuff. I'm in the process of building something out with copper piping that basically I can just put up and break it out. And you put the copper tubing in the fire pit, and then it has approximately 4 foot in copper pipe going in and a 4 foot line coming out, and basically I could set that up into anything and basically run water, and it will circulate because the water, the way the water, hot water will, I can't remember if hot water rises or hot water sinks. I know hot air rises. Is it hot air? Now I'm not even sure. But needless to say, having that, it will automatically, as the water heats up in the pipe, it will automatically circulate it for you. So that's important. Let's see, what are we at? 18, 19 minutes? Okay, let's see. Insect controls, sunblock, like bug spray, that type of stuff. Those are extra great to have on hand, especially if you just keep some in your garage. I still got a bunch in my garage. Some kind of knife set, hatchet, a machete, some wet dry matches. Obviously, like camping matches work great, but any kind of matches are great to have, really. Even if you don't have the nice fancy wax tip ones, that's okay. Having matches, period, is good. Some people like Bic lighters, but make sure if you do that, you have lighter fluid. Seed vaults, you can order seeds online and then grow your own food. Some people will even refrigerate their seeds to make them last longer. However, if the grid goes down or some major event, you can probably expect you're not going to have power. Any kind of books on survival projects, gardening books, alternative books, medicine books, any kind of books like that, magazines, keep on hand. Those are extremely useful and come in extremely handy. Some people want to back up stuff, parts of the internet. I actually had one friend, he tells me that he knows how to back up tons of stuff, but the problem is, will you have power? So having hard copies of stuff just put away can come in extremely handy. Obviously, the next one, canning jars, canning lids, cheesecloth, bottles, particularly glass for storage items, comes in really handy. Especially, here's one of the things I was looking around for. Is there a way to store water in glass bottles? Where can you get some big glass bottles? In the old days, they had 5-gallon glass bottles, and a lot of people would make moonshine in them. You don't really see those bottles anymore, especially in the South. At least I haven't. I've seen them a lot more up north. Why? Because people will do a lot of different projects with them, and including making moonshine. But up north, it seems to me like they're more homegrown, do-it-yourself, that type of stuff. And you don't really see that as much in the bigger cities. And I shouldn't really say up north. I'm from way, way up north in northern Maine. So obviously, we do a lot of stuff ourselves. But I will say in Portland, which is one of the big cities, you don't see as much of that do-it-yourself attitude. And definitely in big cities, New York, Dallas, Houston, Austin, you're not going to see that type of stuff. Country areas, it's important because you need to really know how to handle yourself, how to protect yourself. I don't want to be reliant on other people. I want to be the person that people can lean on and know that they're going to be okay. There's a lot more, I guess you can say, importance in that. And it's good to have those skills, the resources to a certain point. Now, I don't want to be someone else's, I guess you can say, bank account, savings plan. If anybody that comes over to my house, I'll be putting them to work real quick. It may just be carrying buckets of water from the lake to the house, and that may seem annoying, but you know what, if you want to eat, you got to do something. And what can you really do early on? So it's important that you have some ideas already in mind, have a plan. I was big when I was in the military on standard operating procedures, having plans in place for different stuff. When something happens, skills, they can't take that away from you. You can't have it stolen. You can't lose it. Once you got the skill, you got it. And that's why it's important to know how to do certain stuff. With that being said, I thank y'all for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. Obviously, precious metals are great, but here's the problem with precious metals. Precious metals are only going to be great if the system is not in a total collapse. Precious metals will come back later, but during the initial collapse of everything, all the stores being wiped out, everything gone, the whole system down. But here's the thing. I talked to some people and they're like, you ought to put all your money into rice and beans. Can you imagine just the silver that you're looking at in front of you, how much rice and beans that would pull? Let me put it in perspective for you. This right here would get you a 50-pound bag of rice. Now, as I look at all this, everything, what am I going to do with 2,000 pounds of rice? And that's just this little stack that you see here. Having that maintains that you'll be all right. If nothing major happens and they just keep inflating everything higher and higher, well, that stuff goes up higher and higher. Meanwhile, 1,000 pounds of rice might start to go bad eventually. Canned goods might start to go bad. If you think a canned good's not going to go bad, you have not really focused on your attention on prepping. Why? I can tell you that I experienced expired canned goods. Why? Because I wanted to know what would happen. I wanted to know what stuff would taste like. I can tell you cans of tomatoes, it wasn't until almost 4 years, 3.5 years of no AC that the top actually will pop. Now, some might be like, why would you keep a can of tomatoes for that long? Why not? I'd rather know what's going to happen beforehand than after. And, when then the tops start bulging out, you definitely don't want to eat it. I wanted to know, would I be all right with a can of food that expired a year ago? And I ate them, and they were fine. 2 years, they were fine. 3 years, you could start tasting the difference, and who knows? I wouldn't go much past that. Some items, though, like rice and beans, my opinion, pasta, that stuff, it was still fine. And I didn't need to prove it any further, because at a certain point, you're probably not going to have food just sitting around for 5 years in any larger quantities. So it's important that you guys are prepared, you know what's going on. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you hit the thumbs up. If you'd like to become a member, it would be great. We got some great giveaways coming up. And I thank everybody for watching, and I'll see you guys tomorrow on T-Square Talk. Take care, everybody, and have a great day. Bye-bye. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up.